Hi everyone, Nigel Saunders here. Welcome back to part 2 of working on my 60th birthday present, dwarf Scots pine. In part 1 of this series, I did the top-down method of repotting. So what I did is I removed all the soil from the upper half of the root base and replaced it with bonsai soil. The lower half of the root base, I did not touch the roots or the soil at all. It's just as it came from the nursery. This top-down repotting method encourages a fine root system to develop in the bonsai soil above here. So eventually this will be full of fine feeder roots, and once that's strong enough, I can cut off the lower part of the root base, and that'll allow me to eventually fit this tree into a bonsai pot. The top-down method can take 2 or 3 years before I get a good root system in the pot. My philosophy in bonsai is always try and do what's best for the tree and don't worry about the timeline. If you run out of time in your lifetime, the next person can take it over and eventually build a really spectacular tree. I've got a couple of objectives that I want to achieve with this tree today. One is to thin out the foliage, always dividing one branch into 2, not one branch into 4 or 3 or 5 or more. So I'm going to go through the structure and do some thinning, sorting out the finer branches. The other objective is I have a large piece of deadwood here on the right-hand side, and I want to either shorten it or remove it. Here's a look at the tree, and you can see the deadwood branch here, which is really long. Opposite that, I have deadwood here also. The deadwood on the left-hand side here is much finer, more interesting. It kind of matches the deadwood that's higher up here. This branch is very thick. It's not a bad direction to it. It is kind of a cascading type branch at the start. However, it's almost on the inside of a curve, and it's very thick. If I remove that branch totally, I think the tree looks quite nice. I think it makes this deadwood stand out more. So you got the deadwood here, maybe eventually some more deadwood up here to kind of get a rhythm to the tree. I definitely need to reduce this branch. It's sticking out, and I just know for a fact that one of these days I'm going to snag it. So it's way too long. If I did reduce it, I'd have to come back to about, here, making it a little longer than the ones above. Now the trouble with reducing it is I've seen a lot of deadwood in my days, and it is very, very rare to be able to create deadwood that looks perfectly natural. Most deadwood, like this, is really thick, so if I had to cut it off and then break it to make it look natural, it never looks quite right. I have seen some that look good. If this was like, a very old tree, maybe, 100, 150 years old, you broke the deadwood, you'd get all the natural growth rings in there, and it would look quite natural. But this isn't. This is a fairly young tree as far as bonsai, and I think this tree might be 20 years old, so you're not going to get fine deadwood in here because you get fairly large growth rings on the tree. So I'm afraid that if I tried to make this deadwood look natural, I don't think I would succeed. And then I don't know if I want it because, as I said, I've got the 2 opposite dead branches, and I don't like opposite branches on a tree if I can avoid them. So everything is telling me that I should take this branch off, the deadwood off there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a photograph of the tree. I'll bring it into a photo editing software, and I'll show you some different versions. I'll show you a version where it's removed totally, one where it's shortened and thinned down, and maybe one that's just shortened and not thinned down, just kind of broken at the end. So I'll do a few options. We'll have a look at it, and then I'll decide what's the best action to take this tree forward. Because the tree is planted solo in the pot, I have to bring the camera up to take the photograph of the tree so I get the trunk in, the full trunk in. This is probably the angle that you would see this tree if it was ever in a show. It would be in a bonsai pot on a stand, and this would probably be the viewing height, which is quite a nice height. You're kind of looking in at the tree quite nicely. So I'll take the photograph and then show you the results. I brought my photograph of the Scots pine into GIMP, which is a free software for editing photos. So there it is. So my first step, I'm going to clean up the background. So I've kind of removed all the distractions. I could have taken the pot away, but I thought, that'll be for the future when it is ready to go into a bonsai pot. We can pick out a pot and a size for it and everything. It'll be kind of cool. So then the next step, I reduce that gin on the right-hand side, or that deadwood on the right-hand side. So you can see I've left it long there. It's still pretty distracting at that length, so I've taken it back further now, kind of giving it a broken look. And it's going to be very critical to make this look good. And I'm going to go out into nature and study broken branches on Scots pines, just to get a feel for what they look like. I know that some trees, when they're young, they grow rapidly, and then as they get older, the growth rings get smaller and smaller, and that wood gets really hard on the outside. And then some of the dead wood, the younger wood on the inside rots away first, so you're kind of left with a hollow, almost like a tube at the end of the deadwood branch where it's broken off. And that might be a cool effect to try. But I'm going to study some trees in nature. I'm going to go on a bike ride today and take some pictures of Scots pines and see if I can find some nice dead broken branches. So here's the next frame. I've removed that deadwood totally, and I don't like it actually. I think it makes the trunk look too plain and simple. And I kind of liked, if I put it back right here, you can see there's a whorl of branches at that point where it joins onto the trunk. And you go above and there's another whorl of branches. And I think this has got to be a feature on this tree, these whorls of branches. I don't think it's going to be your typical pine with the left, right, back, left, right, back kind of branch structure. This is going to be, keep the original whorl style of the natural tree, which is how pines grow. They have multiple branches in a whorl like that. And then usually as they get older, they all get broken away except for maybe one or two. And that's what this tree is going to look like, a very kind of natural, realistic style. So I'm going to keep that. I'm going to definitely keep that deadwood on the right-hand side. So now the next photograph I've removed, there's a straight branch up top, which is very, very straight. And it's kind of distracting. All the foliage is out at the tip. So I've removed that. And it needs something there, but I think it would be a case where I'd have to grow some of the branches in the top, kind of filling in that area just a little bit. Then the last photo, I've got both. I've got that branch up top removed, and I've got my deadwood down below. And I think that's a really nice image. I think it looks miniature, it looks compact, it looks realistic, and I really like it. I think that, you know, in this state, it really shows the true potential of the tree, that it can make an outstanding tree. So that's my photo editing work, and you can see how it helps me make decisions. If you just take a photograph of your tree, even if you just use paint, which comes with Microsoft Windows, you can just black out, you know, any branches and see what the tree would look like, and it can really help you make decisions in the future. The reason I wanted to sort out what I was doing with this lower branch is that if I had to remove it totally, the sooner I do it, the earlier that scar heals over. So I've made the decision I don't want to remove the whole branch. I want to make it a gin, so deadwood, shortening it and making it look like a broken branch. So there's no urgency for me to remove it anymore. That'll stay dead for the rest of the tree's life. So in future, I'll be doing the shaping on that branch. This tree was a present on my 60th birthday, and Jay put together this card with everyone's signatures on it. People that donate money to help purchase this tree. There was one signature missing, so I've added it, and that is Christian down here. So this card will stay with the tree. It's part of the history of this tree. So if I ever go somewhere, pass away, this card will always stay with the tree as part of its history. I was looking at my reference photos of Scots pines, and I came across a photograph of a tree I took not too long ago in a graveyard near here. And it has that kind of lower dead broken branch. So I'm going to go now, take a bike ride, and take some photographs of that branch to get some ideas for styling the branch on this tree. I'm going to be taking the Roll Fast bike. This bike is about the same age as me, about 60 years old. This is an Austrian pine. You can see how thick the plates of bark are on it. That's how these trees survive fires. So let's go up and look at the deadwood. So there's a few broken branches here. It looks like it's almost like someone grabbed it and twisted it up there. It's kind of, the branches spiral around each other, the deadwood. Very, very pointy and sharp at the tips, almost like a knife. A bit of a jagged edge to it. And again, you can see the soft core of the branch. Like I was talking about, the soft inner part has rotted away and left the outer part. So almost like a pipe or something up there. So I think I'll try and get that effect in my deadwood. I didn't realize this tree over here grows over into this Austrian pine. I never noticed that in winter. So yeah, quite a tree, this one. The bike ride will continue. I'll head off and check out that Scots pine now. I didn't have to bike far. There's the Austrian pine there. And if I turn around, here is our first Scots pine right here. And there's the other one I was thinking of right over here. I photographed this pine before. It's kind of like a picture-perfect Scots pine. Not too tall, not too thick, not too thin. Beautiful kind of canopy on it. It's really a pleasing tree to the eye. Here's a look at the mature bark on a Scots pine. You can see the plates and the reddish color. As you go up, where the branches flex in the wind, these plates fall off and exposes the bright kind of orangey red wood underneath, or thin bark underneath. So here's a branch here. If you look up here, it's kind of the opposite of what I drew in that picture. The break part is on the top and the more intact part is on the bottom. I hope you can see that. So yeah, the opposite of what you'd expect, but that's a natural break on a tree. So basically how I drew it, except reverse. So the break is on the top and it's smooth on the bottom. For that branch anyway. Let's see if there's any others. There's another one way up top. A couple opposite branches there. They don't have very nice looking breaks. It just looks like someone broke it across their knee. Nothing spectacular on that deadwood. There's one way up there. It is quite spectacular. So it has got, the branch comes out and then there's a piece of like almost white deadwood coming out of the dead branch. It's like it died and then it regrew and then died again. So interesting. Kind of telling a story on the tree. Multi-levels of catastrophe, which is good. It's nice to see some succession in deadwood that shows the tree was struggling, then it healed itself, and then it struggled again, more damage, then it healed itself, and then eventually dies. So it's got all that character on the dead branch that tells its story. So I think that's about it for this tree as far as dead branches. So yeah, one really good spectacular example up there, which is quite inspirational, and it's at a very, very sharp point at the tip of it. Some of those shards of broken branch sticking out like knives. Very interesting. What a beautiful tree. I don't remember seeing any other Scots pines in this area, so I'm gonna head back home. I think I saw enough to inspire me and give me some ideas for doing the deadwood on my dwarf Scots pine. I just noticed a really beautiful maple on my way out. Here's a maple where you can see that upright structure in the branches or trunks. That is what I like in a maple. And I hope, I've seen a few bonsai maples in this kind of style where the upright branches, and then off those upright branches you get the tiers of more horizontal branches, but the basic structure is upright and broom style. I hope I get to see more of that style in bonsai, not the maples that are kind of style like pine trees. Days like this, I could just spend the whole day walking in the forest looking at the trees. But let's head back home now. After looking at those branches in nature, it's got me thinking I should do some tests on some branches. Try breaking them and just see what the breaks look like. To see if they, keep the smooth part on the bottom or the smooth part on the top. Maybe it varies branch to branch in the type of wood, but I'm going to try some branches out now as an experiment. All right, I've got a selection of branches and I'm going to do a break test on them. So here I go. So this is where it's attached to the tree. I'm going to push down like the load of winter snow. So that one did like the one in the Scots pine, smooth on the bottom and the break on top. So interesting. Let's try it down here. This one is kind of the opposite. Smooth on top, it broke on the bottom. Let's try some more. That one just kind of broke off square, jagged and square. Nothing dramatic there. And I know this isn't an exact test, but... So there's one, smooth on the top, shattered on the bottom. I don't know if you can see that. right there. That's an interesting break. It looks nice. Let's try some more. Here's kind of a thicker branch. So that one, like the one in the graveyard there, smooth on the bottom, shattered on top. And you can see the softer wood on the inside. The oldest wood is the softest because it's fast growth. Interesting. Try one more. Smooth on top, jagged on the bottom for that one. That one broke off pretty square. Smooth on the top, jagged on the bottom. I don't think I can break that one. So yeah, so it's quite random. I guess it can go either way. Either way looks perfectly natural. I guess on this tree, if you wanted to highlight the bark texture here, you would make the break on the bottom so it's smooth on top. The shattered part is on the bottom. If you wanted to show off the deadwood, make the smooth part on the bottom and the shattered part on the top. I guess it depends what you're trying to show off on the deadwood. The other possibility is you could somehow secure the branch here, pull down on it and just let it break naturally, and wherever it breaks, it breaks. The problem with that is that it could just break straight off square and maybe won't look very interesting. So I think, you know, a series of carving and peeling is the ideal way to reduce this branch back. I'm not going to be doing that deadwood work on the tree today. I'll leave that for another video, but I am going to start thinning out the branch structure. All right, here I go on the pruning. So I'm just going to start with the lower branches and work my way up. And I'm just going to examine each branch, follow it along, trying to make sure it divides from one into two and not one into multiple branches. I'm going to start with this branch here, so you can see I'm moving it out of the way. Following the branch along, checking out the branch structure. So I'm starting to get congested in this area. There's a very weak branch down here I can remove. It's almost dead. So anything you can remove to get light and air circulation in helps. I've got multiple branches in this area. It's so dense it's hard to see what's going on. So I definitely have one sticking straight up here I'm going to remove. Like that, because I've got multiple branches in this area. I'll continue working away at all the branches, thinning them out, and then we'll come back and have a look at the tree. I'm back already, but I'm not finished. This is the side view of the tree, so the apex is up here, and I've got a branch coming out the back here, and there's a vertical part sticking up here, which is actually just about the same height as the apex. And from the front, it really is distracting. There's lots of healthy foliage down lower here, so I think I'm going to get rid of this entire branch structure up top here, which is quite a heavy cut. But I think it'll get light to these areas, and it's up in the apex where all the vigor is, and I've got some nice branches out here. So I think that's going to come off today. So big cut coming up. Here I go. Gone. Now if you look at the tree from the front view, I don't have that big clump up here competing with the main apex of the tree. It looks a lot more kind of natural looking now. Now that that big cut is out of the way, I'll continue thinning the branches, and then we'll come back and look at the tree. I have finished thinning the tree, so let's go in and have a look at it. Now I'm being ultra conservative because I want the tree to grow healthy, you know, start growing with a lot of vigor before I start shaping it too much. So today was just kind of a bit of a thinning operation, getting light to some of those lower branches and getting a little more light to some of the weaker branches. So here's how much I took off today, which is, you know, a fair amount, especially that one heavy branch. So yeah, a lot of branch tips. So it'll be interesting making this deadwood. So I'll probably have to, I'm going to do it like a test shari here. So I'll break it here or saw it and then break it, sculpt it here. You know, maybe in a couple of places, get a feel for the wood, see what it looks like. Maybe I'll do a top break here, bottom break here, see which I like better. Get a feel for the wood, and then I'll go in and do the real work on the branch back here. So that'll be kind of exciting, and that'll be coming up in the future. I made a little bit of progress on my Scots pine today. Again, I'm being very conservative with the tree, shaping it for the long-term future. That's all for today. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for joining me in the Bonsai Zone.